Hey everybody, I don't know if my audio is working. We're gonna actually, let me load this on my phone so I can see the comments and everything going forward. But let's see, how you guys doing on this wonderful Sunday afternoon? Or it's not even afternoon yet, guys. Let's see. It's gonna be starting soon here. Loading in. Yeah, that looks like the audio is working. Let's go ahead and mute that. Then I got you guys up for comments if you guys are ever going to send me any messages. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than our normal Sunday live stream. We'll still be doing some, Blender stuff, but we're also going to be doing it more in kind of like the Nuke VFX compositing world. Let me take my watch off, all right? Let me wear the watch right now. But how you doing, Hasselhoff? Welcome in. Little flustered. We had a lot of stuff go crazy in the last couple minutes, so I was trying to get all of that stuff situated and good to go, but I think we are good to go now. I did post a link to the practice footage that we will be using in today's stream. I posted that inside of the Discord. Let me post that over here into the YouTube chat as well. This is the practice footage that we will be using. It is located on Action VFX, 100% free. You'll notice that it does have like my reference code at the end of that, and that's just so that if you guys buy any assets with this as well, then I'll get a little bit kickback for that. It doesn't cost you guys anything extra. It just allows Action VFX to know that I sent you over to their website. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump on in. Today's going to be a little bit of a different stream, as I mentioned. We're going to be focusing more on creating a CG VFX shot. We're going to be using this practice footage here. And let me swap my screen over so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Oops. Well, that's my Discord. If you guys join the Discord, you guys will get all the links that I am posting and stuff like that. And we can share it that way. Let me sign into my account here. Make sure that I'm not sharing any personal information. Sign in, and then I can download all of this footage and stuff. Here we go. Doing well, and I recently used the same practice footage for teaching fellow university students. It was a blast. Yes, no, this stuff is super cool. I haven't gotten a chance to use this specific shot yet, but it's gonna be a good one. Planning on using clip 4 here, so let's go ahead and get that downloaded. Probably use, well, I guess I don't really have much of a choice. We'll use the 2K ProRes file here. I'm going to go ahead and create a whole new live stream folder. Actually, I think I already have a stream folder for today. So this week has been very, very interesting for me. I got to do a bit of de-aging work for a company. We're doing some R&D for a project. And so I spent a lot of time in Nuke just working with like frequency separation and working with UV unwraps and all sorts of fun stuff. Let's just call this source here real quick. Save this in the source folder. Now, I'm going to create my visual effects plates inside of DaVinci Resolve. I have a whole tutorial on how to do that, but you know, we will be jumping through and doing that here today. So if you guys haven't seen that tutorial, then go check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. It's one of my more viewed videos right here. This walks you through the whole process of creating different visual effects plates for your own needs. So go give that a view. Gives me some watch time on YouTube. But yeah, I'm going to download this. And I figured we'll model our own drone and stuff like that. This particular VFX shot I figured would be, this is part 1. And we will work on multiple parts over the next course of the next couple weeks. And kind of model, animate, match move, like all the stuff that we have to do in order to create this visual effect shot from scratch. I'm going to set up my project settings here. We won't change the timeline resolution yet. We'll change that once we actually have our footage. But we can actually view a lot of the material like settings here by what we need. So for instance, we're going to be working with red camera footage, ProRes 422 material. So let's change our color management settings here to be ACES CC. I'm going to use 1.3. The input transform, we're just going to find ourselves our red color gamut space, which I always get confused because they don't have believe it's just supposed to be red gamma, right? It's fine. We'll figure this out. I can never remember which one I'm supposed to select on this. Red color 2, gamma 3. We'll do that. And then I'm going to set the output color space for right now for viewing purposes to make sure that it's correct, just to like sRGB or something like that. And let's go find our footage. And let's see, today's date and source folder, and let's grab this guy as well. We'll change the frame rate to be, I believe it's 23.976, that's correct. And where is my, am I doing dual screen? To 2, here we go. This is actually the shot. If I drag that in, I believe my input color settings are incorrect on this. I don't want to hear my music playing through my headphones over there. I actually have like the music playing through the headphones, so that way I don't have to hear it. Let's see. It's 3, set it to 4. That seems correct to me. Okay, and then the next thing that we're going to want to set is the resolution. So 2048 by 1080 should be the correct settings. So I'm going to go to our master settings here and change this to 2048 by 1080. And so now we're not going to have any baked in black bars on our shot. That should all be correct. So now if I go to my render settings, oh, whoops, one moment. Let's change the color management real quick here to the output transform to be ACES CG. And if we set that to ACES CG, then we can tag it inside of our Nuke comp as such, and we won't have any issues. Great. I'm going to render this real quick to the correct folder. Put that under the streams folder, and create a new folder in here called 2024-0707 BG1, since that is our name of our shot. Although actually, call 010. Go ahead and save that in there, and then I'm going to make sure the file name is also that with an underscore at the end of it, because we're going to be rendering this out as EXR files. So just swap that over to EXR. And that's all correct. The only other thing is we want the file name to have 4 digits, because I find this is the cleanest way to do this. Set that to 4 digits and then have the starting frame number be 1000. So that way every frame starts at 1000 at the beginning of your shot. And let's go ahead and add that to our queue. So if we render this out now, we should have a proper visual effects plate. Let's see. I actually probably want to clean that up a little bit. Let's see. Go to our projects. Don't know. I'm going to delete everything here real quick. Let's just make it a little bit easier. Let's delete everything. I want to get rid of this. I'm going to have them running from probably... I kind of want to do the whole shot. Probably to about there. That's good. The plate also seems decently contrasty compared to like their online plate. So it's red format. Where's the color space here? Red wide gamma. Okay. I don't know why I didn't select that to begin with. pumped for this one. Love the VFX streams. All right, thanks, Ben. Thanks for joining the stream. Where's my red wide gamut? I must be missing it. Red log film. I know where it is inside a base light. Oh boy. Log 3G10 or ASUS 709. I don't think it's 709, is it? Oh, did they actually give us 709 plates as that? I guess that makes sense because these are the ProRes files. Good thing I checked that one. Okay, and then we'll call that the same name as before. Make sure all of our settings are correct here, and then just render that out. So we're converting this 709 footage into a linear working space. I'll go ahead and disconnect from DaVinci Resolve. We don't need that anymore. And then, yeah, let's open up Nuke. Might actually have to set my color management settings. So things to consider. What color space we're working in is what softwares we'll be using. We want everything to be speaking the same language. And inside of Nuke, we have, our default Nuke color management settings here, but we can also use an OCIO that we feed it. So I am using the Blender Color ASUS configuration of color management by just swapping this to OCIO. That'll allow us to use that color space configuration. Let me real quick set up my workspace here. It's actually a new install of Nuke, and it didn't bring in my previous settings, so I just have to do this. So we're going to do that, and then save the workspace as 2-screen. And later, I'll probably update that. I could actually probably update that right now while we're thinking about it. I'm going to update my default startup program layout under startup. Select our 2-screen that I just created. It's now every single time I open up Nuke, it'll automatically open it up inside of this workspace. And then as far as my color management settings go, if I go to preferences, color management, I'm going to swap that to OCIO, and we're going to use that config file. Great. So now if I load in our footage, I can do that by a couple ways. I can load it in by pressing the read node, but I can also just go back here and grab this folder and dragging it in. So let's do it that way. And now I should have this visual effects plate just work for us. So let's play this back, see what that looks like. Great. Okay. A couple things. First of all, we need to figure out as much information about this shot as possible. I'm free to 3D and VFX, and you're like my angel for my VFX journey. Awesome. Awesome. Well, welcome to your VFX journey. Vi0M. Welcome to the stream. Right now we are just currently working on setting up the tracking for this visual effect shot. So if you guys click on that link and you guys grab this same piece of footage, all of these pieces of footage will have different lens informations on them. So depending on what shot you're doing is what we're going to be doing. For us, for instance, we are going to be using this 24mm focal length, as well as some of this other pieces of information here to determine what our track settings should be. So I currently have 24mm is what we can probably guesstimate on this. I'm going to just add in a camera tracker here. And I'm going to use the camera tracker classic. The camera tracker classic will work pretty good. I don't like the new track settings. It's mostly because I just haven't figured out how the materials work inside of the new Nuke 15 setup. But I find the classic works perfectly fine for me. Okay, I'm going to add in a roto here. And then let's see. Let's add a dot. And I mostly just want to create a mask of these people so that way they're not throwing off our camera track. So first of which, I'll do this guy. Just create like a circle around him. And then every few frames or so, I'm going to want to create a keyframe. So I've got like frame, let's go to just 10 frames. Let's go to 19 frames. And we can come in later and then create more in between frames. But right now, just kind of get those big movements in there. Luckily, they stay pretty, not centered, but, in the same quadrant of the screen for the entirety of the shot. So you don't really have to worry too much about anything. It's better than I had to do some shots once where people come in and out of the frame and then they cross over the entire frame, so then you don't see any trackable objects for a period of time. Those are the worst. I did this one show once where we had to change. The guy was wearing a vest, and we had to put a specific police force name on the vest because the vest was just a black vest. And they shot it at night. There was no tracking markers on that vest, and it was a nightmare to get a track. I used PF track, and still it was a little floaty. Like, looking back at it, I'm like, wow, I really wish I didn't just accept that. Hey, Keysign, welcome into the chat. Welcome into the stream. But it's stuff like that gives me nightmares. Now it's like, it's funny. I feel like if I ever got a track that I just wasn't happy with, I wouldn't spend longer than, a couple hours trying to figure it out before I go, you know what, I'm just going to send it to my guy. Because now it's like when you have people that can kind of handle all that stuff for you, they're like really good at it. Why would I waste too much of my efforts, to do something that they can get done pretty quickly? I'm actually going to save my comp right now. That way, live stream. I always forget to do this stuff later, Put that under scripts. I guess I used to think that as like a VFX artist, it was your job to do everything. And that was my opinion for a very long time. And I don't know who instilled that into me. But it's like, oh, if you're a VFX artist, then you have to do everything from beginning to end. Because it felt like I was cheating if I went and, I was using somebody else's 3D model, right? Or whatever it was. I just felt like that was cheating when it's not. And I don't know. Why can I not add another Roto in? Okay, new layer, I guess. I don't want to add a new layer. Is this a bug? I can't add a new Roto layer. I'm selected on Bezier. Add points. What's going on here? You started binging watching my streams and it's very helpful. I reckon you're a great teacher. Oh, thank you. I did go to school for teaching. I almost became a high school teacher. I worked an internship like a semester at like a whole high school and everything. So I do have a little bit of teaching background. Now I just mostly work as a visual effects artist and then every now and then like to do these streams. Okay, I just restarted Nuke and that fixed it. You know what they say? They just say restart your computer every time there's an issue and it fixes the problem. But yeah, I got a degree in college to teach computer science and to teach speech. Very different degrees if you think about it, because they don't really relate to each other whatsoever. I find most people that do computer science-y type things, they don't even know how to talk. So makes sense that I was doing both of those. But with that came like I did a lot of theater in college, and then it's funny. It's like I would do theater every semester, but then I would also do help with like the computer science senior projects because they would do game design. I love doing. I feel like if I ever did computer ended side of, like if I changed industries, I would want to get into game design. That's just this like a dream job of mine would be designing games, but I discovered very quickly that like over 80% of how the computer science industry works is all just maintenance, and I like design, so kind of conflicts a little bit with what I wanted to do. Right, shrink that down a little bit. But I think if you guys are just starting out with VFX, I really recommend learning to code, specifically in Python. I think Python is just such a powerful language for how APIs work, because knowing how to code in APIs between different softwares will save you so much headache later on. And I think it gives you a strength that not a lot of people have these days. And now, honestly, you don't really need to know how to code. You just need to know how to chat GPT. Used to say Google, but now Google's not really the reason why people can code. I was a professional Googler back in the day, but that's not a thing anymore, guys. Now you're just a professional chat GPTer. So I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like you should know. I think here's the cool thing. ChatGPT gets you there pretty quickly with learning how to do stuff. But I feel like people aren't learning how to do stuff as much as they are just copying stuff. And that was a thing back in the day. People would say, don't use Stack Overflow as your, if you're a student, because you're not really learning the concepts of how stuff works. If you're using Stack Overflow, then you're just copy pasting somebody else's code, which could work, or it could cause more issues. If you don't understand why something is doing what it's doing, then potentially that could be problematic. And I think the same thing goes with like ChatGPT or other AI type stuff, is that sure, it can answer your question, it could give you a solution, but if you don't understand why it's doing what it's doing, then you could be causing problems on the back end that you don't catch till way later, or maybe you don't ever catch. And if you're doing server side stuff with like APIs, so I've been doing a lot of coding recently with Amazon's web bucket, like S3 type stuff, and when you're working with EC2 clients and things like that, if you are having a process that is overloading the system, it can be very expensive in a monetary sense, but also in like a it's expensive because it's heavy on the processor. So that's where I think understanding like what you're actually doing really matters, and that comes from kind of understanding how that stuff works in the first place, but then also being able to research that. Like I feel like if you know how to research, figure things out, then yeah, you go ahead and use ChatGPT because it's not going to hurt you, because later you'll just figure out and research what you're coding if it actually is causing any issues. Okay, I think this mask right here works pretty nicely. He doesn't flail as much as she does, I'll say that. Okay, great. So now we've got ourselves a mask. Let's plug that into our camera tracker. Okay, we're going to look at some settings here. So we do know that there is a lens distortion on it. I'm probably going to say that there is an unknown lens, and the focal length will be a known 24 millimeter. And we can double check that on our website here. 24 millimeter focal length. Let's see if that helps us out. I often like to have lens distortion charts, but I don't think they shot any for this. And let's see. let's go into our settings here. I'm going to add 300 trackers. Let's preview those locations. Now you'll notice that it's throwing it on the people still, even though we have our mask in here. That's because we actually have to go select mask alpha. And if you select mask alpha, it'll be do the areas in which there are alpha and not completely non-alpha. So at our roto, you can see that this is alpha, this is not alpha. So in all the areas that is not this, it's putting the tracker nodes. And so let's go ahead and track that. Let's just see how well this tracks. Should go pretty quickly. I mean, this is just 2048 by 1080 footage. And ideally, what we're going to want to do is once we get this camera track, we want to output this camera track to Blender. Excuse me. Ideally, what we want to do is once we have the camera track, we're going to output this camera track and then import it into Blender. And that will give us a nice 3D workflow where we can do all of our work inside of Blender and have all the compositing done inside of Nuke. Okay, great. Our error is down to 0.78, which, by the way, the best way to determine like a good error solvency is less than 1, I think is pretty ideal. The lower you can get the number, obviously, the better. But because we are masking out these guys, and there really isn't much movement in the scene, I mean, if there were trees and stuff, I would probably say track out the trees because those could be moving, but these bushes aren't really moving because there's not really any wind. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to clean up our track a little bit. If we go to our auto track settings here, let's go ahead and delete our rejected. And we're going to delete the unsolved. And I think if we do update solve, doesn't really get all terribly much rid of anything. If we manually see like this tracker's throwing stuff off, we can delete these things manually. Probably delete this guy as well. If you see anything jumping, I would say get rid of those as well. Like, I don't know what this is tracking. It's just tracking the sky. I think these guys are moving a little bit. You do a lot of this automatically, though, if you change the max track error. And then let's also kind of get rid of the max error. Go and delete the rejected and the unsolved. And that's just going to clean everything up a little bit. You can see our solve error went down to like a 0.5. Ideally, you don't want your tracks flying all over the place because right now the computer doesn't know how the camera's moving, so it's tracking all these little different points to tell the computer, hey, this camera's moving in this trajectory. And you can test all of this out, by the way, by creating a, let's say, a scene plus. I'm just going to get rid of the link output. If we go view that, first of all, it's going to undistort our shot. It'll also create this camera track cloud. We could just turn that off. We don't need to see the cloud. Let's move everything down here, though. The way for us to preview this is, first of all, we have this lovely lens distortion that it's undistorting our footage. And now all we need to do is place a card of some kind inside of our 3D scene in order to be able to see that properly. So we'll go back to our camera tracker here and select probably like this point and this point. Let's do that, and we'll say create card. It's going to create a card that's going to intersect with those 2 points that we selected, which happens to be that wall. Okay. Now with that card, it's going to put that over here. Let's go view our scanline render. And we can place that card in, but we're going to need a texture to be able to preview this. So I just drop in a checkerboard and select that on scene. How's it going? You're Nemo. Welcome into the chat. Welcome back. I'm just going to scale this down. Now, if we scale this down to something, you know, we could see on the scene here, we just now play this back and then see if that plane tracks in properly on the shot. And if there's any floating that's happening. So we're just going to play that back and then make sure that it doesn't look all wacky. Now, we do have a little bit of relief on this shot because when we add in the drone, I mean, I shouldn't say this because, like, it's not proper, but, like, we know this since we're designing this shot. The drone's flying in the air, so if it doesn't track perfectly, then, you know, that's not going to kill us. Although I will say that's going to throw off any kind of, like, motion blur that we have that's associated with the camera. So that track looks really good, though. That looks really nice. Some other ways that I like to do this is, let's go to our project settings here real quick, and then we're going to set this to the 2048 by 1080 size window. There it is. And if I take this scanline render and I disconnect the BG, it's going to render this all over alpha rather than over the BG image. And if I place a merge node in then, and I drop the A in over the B, like so, I can actually control how much alpha we have specifically on all of the objects inside of our 3D scene. So if I take this and then I scale this up, I can use this as a method to check how good our track is, just by changing the alpha here and comparing that to the background textures. So I'm going to probably make that quite a bit smaller, and then let's go ahead and track that. What app are you using? This is Nuke, which is a compositing software primarily for the compositing end of VFX. We will be doing Blender stuff here in a little bit, but we are incorporating CG material into a real live action footage, and so we need to do what's called compositing, which is basically Photoshop but for video. Alright, let's see how well that tracks. That looks really solid to me. So let's build out a world in which all of this stuff is lined up properly. So I'm going to select this card here, and we're going to find the intersecting point of where, like, kind of that, we could see using that point cloud where the corners are of everything. So if I kind of do that, just go here, we'll see that kind of lines up with that corner a little bit. How's it going, Veeth? Welcome into the chat. How's your vacation? Your vacation away from me. I'm going to then go ahead and select 2 points over here that are roughly on the same wall, and then say create card. And that's going to create a card that is lined up with all the points on that side. Now, these walls are really wacky in the orientation of everything, but I might... Let's see. I actually want to have 2 probably, and then let's select the point cloud as well. But this card over here, we'll just plug in the checkerboard, and then we can rotate everything. It's like a video shop for video, right? Yeah, it's like Photoshop for video. So Photoshop, but it is video shop. And then, let's see, let's rotate on the Z-axis here and just set that to a 0 for ourselves real quick. We're just going to, because if we rotate that on the Z-axis, you can kind of see that it's just rotating that orientation for us. I almost want to copy the exact same orientation that we have here. That's fine. And if we change the uniform scale here, roughly get everything lined up again. And let's plug that card in. And that's the corner right there that everything is going to be lined up on. So I think roughly that is a good measurement of like where the walls are. We're not going to use this for height or anything like that, but now we kind of like have this backdrop of like where the walls are on the background kind of lined up. And we could do a couple things with this. We could, inside of our compositing software, project the video directly onto that wall and use that as a clean plating situation, so we can get rid of like all of our people and stuff like that, but have a perfect track of everything that's going on. Or we could not, which we're not going to, and we'll do that inside of Blender later. But let's see, let's create this up here so that way we know where this is inside of 3D space as well. I mean, we have these point clouds, but I can't remember if those come into Blender or not. I don't think they do, so I'm trying to create as much of this as possible inside of our Nuke compositing software here, where we have all of the point clouds set up. I subscribe to you on YouTube. I follow you on Instagram. I follow you on Twitter. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I saw that you followed me on Twitter, and I unfortunately just don't post much on there. Not really a Twitter guy, but I have one, and maybe one day I'll use it more than currently. But as of right now, I find Twitter somewhat confusing to me, because I never had like friends on Twitter, so it wasn't like I was getting a lot of likes or anything like that on my Twitter profile. And I used Facebook and Instagram and like all of those social medias so much longer. You can import tracks as empties when exporting to Nuke to Blender. I know, but I think that's buggy. I don't. It seems weird to me, because sometimes it doesn't, like the sizing is weird. Ben, you got the trifecta. I don't think Ben even follows me on Instagram. Do you, Ben? I don't know. Or not Instagram. I don't know why I said Instagram. Meant to say Twitter. Okay, so now we got that cylinder. Let's plug this cylinder into the checkerboard, and then we'll go view this guy real quick, and voila, we got ourselves that as well. I'm not liking that at all. It's not lining up with anything. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna save, and then we're gonna do a right geo, and we'll plug that into our scene here. And we're going to test you out, Hasselhoff. The size of the mess. Yeah, I know. The size is the crazy thing. But under the empty controls, you can... Oh, I actually didn't try that. I tried scaling them manually, but of course you can't do that. Then there's also like a trick with the right geo is what file formats actually don't crash on your computer. So let's figure that one out. Go to live stream. Let's see. Streams. I'm sorry, Connor. I have an exam tomorrow, but I'll watch your stream after my exam. All good. Thank you so much for joining, though. Appreciate it. Good luck on your exam. Join the Discord. Let us know how your exam went. Let's see. There we go. 0707. And then I'm going to save this to material, and we'll call this track. And inside of here, I'm going to call this 2024-0707. And then we'll call this track version 1. And then I'm going to try to use an Alembic file. Prefer to use Alembic files. One thing I've noticed, though, with outputting stuff from Nuke is that it crashes if I try to output... I think I have to do an Agawa is the answer here. I'll do point clouds, geometries, and cameras. Let's just see if that works or if that's going to crash. It didn't crash, which is good news. I know that, like, I try to do, because I don't do too much 3D integration into projects. Mostly I try to do it all inside of Nuke whenever I'm doing VFX. But when I have done in the past, I had to do like an FBX for the geometry and then an ABC for the camera track, because it wouldn't do both. All right, let's try this though. Import Alembic file, and then we will import and do projects. live stream streams. And I'm going to create a bookmark. I don't know why I don't have a bookmark already for that. But there we go. Now I got a bookmark. Import that track. Holy camole, guys. It worked. Right on. Oh my gosh, I'm so used to rotating in other softwares that I just try to do a control middle mouse. No! Oh, my brain is broken, guys. Wait, I also joined you on Discord. You did join me on Discord. Awesome. Well, welcome to the Discord funness. Okay. Well, now that we've got this inside of 3D, let's set up our project settings here. That has to be a first. What? What has to be a first? What did I do? I'm going to set up our project settings, though, for 2048 by 1080 is our video settings. And then real quick, I'm going to probably not from there, although maybe. Let's do this. Let's enable our track point cloud. We'll set that to textured. Go view our footage here. I'm going to disable our cards. And then I'm going to set the mix to 100 on this merge one. And I'm going to set the right node. A perfect import with no adjustments needed. Dude, it happens to me all the time. I don't know what you're talking. No, just kidding. That is pretty crazy, but hey, you know what they say? You just gotta live stream it, and then you don't have any problems. Is that what they say? I'm gonna create a folder called reference, and then we're just inside of here. I will say it's probably a first for any live streamer to have it just work, no problem. I'm gonna save this as our name with a reference and with our frame numbers as hashtags here in a JPEG sequence. And then let's output this as the correct color space, because right now it is, I don't even know what it's doing. To output sRGB. And JGP. Oh, did I really misspell that? I'm sorry. JPG. It was like, I don't know what a JGP is. Unfortunately, that's not a format that we understand. Let's do create directories and then render that out. I find that JPGs work the best inside of Blender. They're the fastest that load for just viewing stuff in the background. I may need to throw a reformat node on this and just make it half res beyond this, but I think for the most part we're good here. I'm going to create a new window. Go to camera view here. And, well, hey, we don't know that this imported properly until I actually load this background image. Once I load the background image, then we can say with an affirmative whether or not it actually worked. Okay, so I'm going to just load the... I don't know why... What's this sorting by? There we go. I'm going to load the first image. We'll do image sequence. Frames. Set that to 1,000. Set the starting frame number to 1,000. And then we're going to set this to front. And yeah, it's at 50-ish%. Which is probably fine. And then now, if we just play this back, theoretically, everything should just work. Theoretically. I'm also going to make sure that our viewport display on our camera is set to pass through. You have so many cells in your body, that's why you're so smart. I believe we all have a lot of cells in our body, right? Oh, well, how many, like, is there an actual number of how many cells the human body has? Like, is it a default number, or do some people have more cells than others? I guess you would have to, right? Because, wait, why am I asking this question? There's bigger people and smaller people. Do smaller people have denser cells, or is it less cells? Is the human body made up of the same amount of cells? That's awesome. You learned multiple as of where? You learned multiple as of where? Wait, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you're asking. But this track works. Look at that, Hasselhoff. We did it in one go. I think we're done with the live stream now. I mean, hey, all we had to do was create a camera track, right? That's the whole shebang. Not. Guys, we're not done. We have way too much to do. We don't even have time to joke about it. Let's create a... I'm just going to create a cube here, and then let's line this up from top view with these... this beam, I guess, is really what we're trying to emulate. And... let's see. Can we rotate any of this stuff? I feel like that all can move, but the camera... okay, so that... I see. The camera has an empty. The meshes have an empty. And then the points have an empty. So all we need to do is create a... not a collection. All we need to do is create a empty, and we'll call this empty. We'll just create an empty. That's fine. And honestly, it doesn't matter where it's at, but we're gonna call this world. I don't understand what you are making, but I am enjoying your stream. Oh, thank you. Well, okay, let's break down exactly what we're doing here. So we have this shot of these people running away. I am trying to add a drone into that shot. So in order for us to do that, we had to camera track that inside of Nuke, import that inside of Blender. So now we have all these point clouds that are representing the different tracks that we had inside of our scene. We have our camera, and then we have those planes, or cards, they call them in Nuke. They imported that as well as mesh into our 3D scene here. Now everything kind of moves appropriately. And as you can see, this cube that I added in is now kind of where that beam is at, and it's moving with the camera track. So I can animate this inside of a 3D space and be able to do whatever we want inside of that 3D environment. Then as far as lighting goes, we then just light it, texture it, then we render it, and then bring it back into our video shop software, and we make it look good. And voila, you've got yourself a visual effects shot with whatever type of material you want. We could extend buildings back here. We could add a CG monster. We could do whatever we want. For our particular shot, we're going to be creating a drone from scratch and then animating that to come in. So that's kind of what we're doing. It's not about each person has roughly the same amount of sensory nerves in their fingers so they can feel things more accurately. Oh, interesting. So each person has the same amount of sensory nerves. I think we were talking about cells, though, which I'm kind of curious about. Do, like, people have the same cells? Number of cells? How does that work? I think for us here, we need to get our video here to be oriented correct. Because right now the orientation is really off. Now, I can do that inside of Nuke. I feel like it'd probably be easier to do it inside of here. So if I grabbed this one and this one here, I can say this. Can I mark this easily? I feel like I can. This is going to be our X. I think that worked. So now I need to create a Y-axis one. If I grab this guy and this guy, and I just say tracks or ground plane set Y, I think that sets my environment up to be more correct. Right? This stream is probably going to go till about 2 o'clock today, so for another 2 hours. I think that's how you do it, right, guys? So, scene. There's the scale constraints. I could do it there, or I could just do it inside of here, right? I have these planes, for instance, and then all I have to do is grab the point cloud, the meshes, and then the camera. Oops. And then I can parent that to the world option. And then I say keep transform. And so then now if I select only the world option, I can rotate all of that around. Now I need to make sure that my world option is moving everything, and it's not moving my points. So let's just do that real quick. Perfect. And then now I'm going to line this up roughly on the top view. I just kind of roughly want to create a top-down perspective of this entire environment, which should make the camera view upwards a little bit. And in the camera viewport displays, can I change the size of it? Yes, I can. Then I'll change the scales of all of these different empties here. How many of these are there? Perfect. So now everything is a lot smaller. Let's go ahead and save this before we lose it. All right, we can't lose our stuff. We'll just go ahead and save that to the 2024-07-07 folder, which, yeah, I don't know why it keeps messing up the location of all these things. Call that CG version 1. And then we'll go ahead and save that blend file. Great. So now inside of our 3D environment, we can, we already have everything kind of set up. Let's create this, whatchamacallit? Yeah, I don't even know. But we're going to make it. I don't even know what it is, but we're going to make it. We could probably just add in a new cube here, because the cube will be facing upwards already correctly. And let's see, it's roughly the correct height already. So all I have to do is scale that out on the x-axis and then just rotate that. You'll be back 20 minutes later? Well, we shall await your return. I think this is another thing I need to do here is let's take the world option and then I need to... I think it's already... No, it's not. I need to orient this to be somewhat correct. So we'll do that just by lining this cube up here. Okay. Guys, we're getting orientation done one step at a time, all right? One step at a time. And as long as that all kind of lines up, I feel like everything else will just kind of like fall into place. So now we've got this background image. I kind of want to make this a little bit more visible. Yeah, that all lines up. And honestly, our environment doesn't have to be too crazy. I'm mostly just doing this in case we wanted to have the drone go behind anything. But, you know, we don't necessarily have to worry too much about this. But since I'm not planning on getting everything done today, I kind of feel okay with, you know, doing a decent amount of this work. Let's set this to back. I'm going to hide that, and then let's just go ahead and scale this down. Just going to get this roughly set up. Scale that down to the correct height. And yeah, all of that should line up. So if we scale that outwards, let's see. We don't want that to go through the wall, so let's just make sure that's not. And yeah, I mean, it's just, the rest of this is just, you know, roughly lining everything up. So let's just add like a single edge loop in here. And then if we grab all of that and just kind of move it upwards. And again, this is mostly going to be used for map purposes later, especially if we're going to have the drone fly behind it, which I kind of want it to like fly in from the sky, go, you know, downwards. So creating like a nice 3D area to help us visualize where everything is in 3D space is going to be real killer for us. Let's do that. And then I'm going to just add in some edge loops here, I think. If I just grab these faces now and just extrude that upwards. And then just do both sides of that. That's pretty sweet, actually. Honestly, then we just probably fill in that and fill in the other side of this. So that way I can create a face directly here that just goes straight up. Awesome. Now we got ourselves a pipe thing. What is this called? It's like a thrust of some kind? I don't like. Are there names for these? Let's take this and then we're going to duplicate it and then just move it over. Honestly, these aren't lining up now, but we're going to just take these sides now and then just delete the vertices. So I've got just the thrust thing. The thrust thing? The thrust thing. I don't know, guys. Okay, and then let's just grab that and make that go up, and then let's grab that and make that go up, and then voila. And then one more time, right there. Hey, Diego, welcome into the chat. Today we're actually doing something a little different than I normally do. you'll notice. I already camera tracked our scene here, and then right now I'm remodeling some of the stuff. I'm not going to do everything, obviously. I think already that's good for the thrust. But this is just to do some prep work for animation. So see, let's line that up kind of with that right there. And cool. I'm going to grab these edges here. We're just going to extrude that upwards on the Z-axis. Now that's not going to line up immediately, but that's fine. I'm just going to do that myself. One thing to maybe take into account is that it's never going to line up perfectly. Some kind of support structures. Nice, finally finished finals. Oh, congratulations. It is summer break for you. Do you have any plans for the summer? Are you in university or what are you in? I don't actually. I know that the majority of my demographic is like university level. Though I would imagine maybe I have some high schooler peoples here. Okay, roughly that's gonna be the orientation of that. Let's grab all of this and then change the height of it. University. Let's mostly get that kind of lined up here. That's going to create a nice back wall there. Let's get this other wall kind of lined up. And lined up there as well. Mostly just trying to create... It's more of a reference than anything because I'm not going to be using this for actual mats. Although I could use it for mats. As of right now, I'm not planning on it. That creates the backdrop here. Let's go ahead and also, let's see, boom, wherever that's at. So what are you studying in university? Are you studying visual effects or animation, or are you getting a regular degree? I think that's one thing I wish I did. I mean, I don't know. Like you have different things, I think, that in life where you're like, oh man, it would have been fun to do that. I don't know if my degree that I have is more in the world of education and computer science, which is cool to me. But sometimes I do wish that I went and got like a film degree or some kind of like animation visual effects degree. But I also don't know that it's for everyone. Okay. Let's put this more where the 3D position of it was off, so try to figure out the area in which that's supposed to belong. Oh, that's not bad, actually. Yeah, that's roughly in the right area. Computer engineering. Dude, that sounds fun. So is that more on the side of like hardware and like low level coding? Because I did computer science, which was more in the software world. Okay, I like that. Okay. That being said, though, let's take this. We've got our whole environment kind of set up here. I'm gonna go ahead and save that. We are going to. I don't know that I want to get started on this today, but I did create some concept art here using Midjourney. I think this is the drone that I'm gonna work on making. 3-year. Oh, okay. So you're on like a junior year or something like that. So this is going to be the drone that I was going to recreate inside of 3D. We'll go ahead and work on modeling it and texturing it. Probably do that on next week. For this week, I was just planning on doing some tracking and setting up maybe some lighting. So let's get onto the lighting aspect of this. Welcome back. I think that's pretty good though. Let's actually I'm curious to do this as well. What would the right way of doing this be? I kind of wanted to track them is what I wanted to do. But I don't know. I wanted to track them in position and then create a card where that position is and then create a clean plate of them. Or not a clean plate, but a roto of them, and then project that onto the card for wherever the distance of the card is, and use that as like a map. But I think that's a bit excessive because I'm going to do that here inside of Nuke anyways. So maybe we don't need to do that in Blender. I was just thinking that might be cool to do. In Spain, it's a career, and then in the last year you specialize. I specialize in networks. Oh, fantastic. I feel like networks was kind of the thing that I always hated the most, because I did game design stuff, which obviously isn't anywhere to what you're talking about. But you learn about network coding for like online games and whatnot, and I feel like every time I ever got into online like stuff, it's I don't know. My brain has a struggle to wrap around network communications between servers. Just roto them. Yeah, dude, just roto it, man. Like, that's not that hard. Like, easy peasy, right? No, I've actually been using two things. Firstly, DaVinci Resolve's Magic Mask works wonders with Roto, but then recently started using Switchlight, which is this incredible software. If you guys check it out, this is Switchlight. They're not sponsoring me or anything like that, but yeah, I agree. I just wanted to show your website. The cool thing that they do is that they handle a lot of kind of like Roto stuff automatically for you using different like AI procedures. And then where's the cool stuff? All right, PBR material acquisition. This stuff's insane, guys. So you can relight people inside of like green screen footage or whatever it is. You can feed it alpha footage, so you don't have to use their Roto kind of situation. you could feed it alpha footage and then it generates PBR materials, which is essentially an albedo pass, so like a normal pass, albedo pass, a roughness pass, a specularity, and an alpha pass, and all that stuff. So for instance, this dude, just load their example image here. It'll create normals of that 2D image that you're feeding it. And then it'll also create an albedo, which is completely unlit version of the skin, a roughness, which is, you know, the roughness of the pores and like, you know, how wet something is, specularity, and then of course the alpha pass as well. And then it kind of like does everything together, which is, oh, that's the source material. So this is the source photo that it's fed, and it creates all of those other passes from it. And from that, you can actually relight stuff. Now, I'm not going to be doing that for this particular shot because we're not relighting anyone, but I am using it on a movie right now, and it's pretty incredible. I definitely recommend it. They just launched, I think like a month or two ago, and pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, I don't have an account with them. I don't think you need to buy credits. I think you just purchase the software. Leave. Yeah, I think you just, their pricing plan is, here's their pricing plan. So they've got free, but we're using the pro, I think, right now. And it's just, you know, it's honestly decently inexpensive for what you need it to be. You got like an API. They do have an enterprise plan and like all that stuff as well. I don't know why I'm sales pitching this for you guys, but pretty crazy stuff. Go check it out. And hey, I mean, if you guys ever see them, tell them I'm a big fan. So, all right, now we got that done. Let's work on some of the lighting aspects of this. So for right now, we have a couple different references of what the lighting is supposed to look like. Here was some balls and charts that they shot. We can kind of use this as our reference of what our, you know, lighting is theoretically supposed to look like. I already downloaded an HDRI. Obviously, the HDRI is going to be somewhat close, but not perfect. So, but we can determine that ourselves, okay? I'm just going to add in a UV sphere here, roughly, you know, where our subjects are supposed to be. Set that to shade smooth. And we just need to light this, okay? So I'm going to create a new material, and we're just going to create a glossy kind of ball material. And we can do that really easy by just removing the roughness and increasing the metallic. And honestly, that already gets us where we're supposed to be at. So if I throw that into render view, I'm going to save this. Let's go to cycles, swap that to GPU, and then change my preferences to make sure that I've got OptiX selected. Fantastic. So for our world settings now, let's import our environmental texture, which is going to be our HDRI. So go to streams. Let's get today's folder, material, HDRI. I'm enjoying your stream in 1080p and learning new stuff. Well, can you watch it in 4K? I don't know. Am I streaming in 4K at all? You can't see my gorgeous face in 4K? Okay, so that is that. Next up, I'm going to create a new collection inside of our main collection here. Actually, let's rename this collection to reference, and I'm going to call this reference lighting. Let's select this entire camera hierarchy. We're going to move that out. And our cameras are still here. I'm going to move cameras to its own collection called camera. And then all of these cubes that we created here, we'll just throw that under reference lighting. And let's enable just that as a reference. It's all just reference, guys. And for right now, for our purposes, let's say film transparent. Oh, yeah, I have YouTube Premium, so I forgot that they made that a YouTube Premium feature. That used to be a free thing, guys. Okay, so now we've got our sphere here. And now we'll just create a new collection. We'll call this reference. And so we have reference lighting, and then we just have reference. We'll just throw our sphere under reference, and we'll just enable viewport display, but disable the render pass. So everything inside of that collection is not going to be rendered. But now you'll notice that our lighting is really off. And we can determine from the rest of the sequence that there is a concrete floor here. So let's go ahead and add a concrete floor. You shouldn't see that at all. And at some point, I don't know how this happened, but at some point, our orientation of everything got completely off. And then for the material here, let's just select a new material and we'll just create like a rough kind of like somewhat grayish ground. Now, obviously on the reflections are going to be different than the actual environment here. And there's a couple things we could do for that. For instance, in our world settings, instead of using this overcast soil pure sky, we could actually use our own HDRI that we can create ourselves. So I'm going to actually do that. Let's go into our Adobe Photoshop here. And we're going to paint out our people running away. Because we don't want them in the reflection. We just want the environment. So let's get that loaded here. Going to find our plate. Go to source. Oh, it's not source. I need to go to plate. And we're going to do this on the EXR plate that we created. Probably just grab like the last frame. Okay, import that. And let's see, using AI Photoshop, just do like a nice little close edge around her. Create a clean plate. Oh, am I in 32-bit right now? Let's do... – 16-bit. That's fine. I'm fine with doing 16-bit. It is time to update. She's gone, guys! Wow. That is magical. It is crazy because this type of paint out work would take me like, I don't know, 2 hours. Probably. Whoops, I gotta fix that. Like, who remembers that, right? Like, that's what we're gonna tell our kids one day. We'll be like, hey, back in my day, took me 2 hours to paint out a guide with proper concrete, with reference images because it looked like shit. Like, dude, no one's gonna believe you. They'll be like, no, it didn't. Shut up, Grandpa. It takes less than 2 seconds. Ian Huber, is that what you're trying to say? Back in my day, we didn't have no AI paint out remove. Oh my god, guys. That's insane. It's too good. It's too good, guys. This is too good. Why does it got to be so good? I don't understand. All right, let's see. I want to make it... Actually, I've never done this. I want to test this. I want to see if this is possible. Let's go into Materials here, HDRI. And then I'm just going to create a whole new image. And go image. Let's do canvas size. So 4096 by 2048. And then go, let's see, image. Canvas size. 4096 by 2048. Scale it, guys. I don't know if this is possible. But I want to test it, okay? If this is possible, oh my gosh, you guys have no idea. I'm going to select our image that we have here. Oops, I did a bad job of selecting. I'm going to select our thing here, and then just invert the selection. And then we'll do generate fill, and we'll just say 360 footage. I don't know. Will that work? How many monsters you have? What do you... Wait, today? Like drink-wise? What are you talking about? Monsters? What monster are you talking about? No way, guys. No way that worked. There's no way that worked. There's no way that worked, guys. There's no way that worked, guys. How many monitors do I have? I have 2 monitors here, and I got a TV up there. Holy crap! Okay. Holy crap! No way! Oh my gosh, guys. Is anyone else seeing this? What the hell? So it creates a 360 camera angle. I don't think this is going to work though, because that looks like that'll clip. Yeah, I don't think this will work. Oh, we can test it. We're going to test it. My mind is blown. So we'll just load that. I actually think it's going to clip. All right, let's load that in. Holy crap. Okay, so that loads the PNG. It's not a UTIM tile, it's a single. And then that's going to be everything. So if we go look at it, to transparent. Wow, guys. How did that do that? That is bonkers. It doesn't... I'm curious though. You can offset the image in Photoshop and just regenerate the transition area. True. That's that area. I'm not seeing any clipping. Oh, there's the clip. There's the clip. Let's do vertical split. Let's just change this to sculpting. Where's that at? Why am I not? No. Shader editor. That's what I need. And then we'll change that to world options. And just change the scale of this probably to a 2. Does that work? No. Also trying to get it to feel further away. I feel like I'm super zoomed in. Why is that? Let's delete that. Let's take this and we're gonna just merge layer. And then I think if we scale it down even further, because I think the problem is it's too large in the frame. Let's scale that down and then do this. Seamless 360 footage. What happened? I'm taking the actual shot from the film, and then I'm using AI to basically convert it to a 360 image. Whoa, whoopsies. Seamless 360 footage. So I'm selecting the area outside of the box, and then he instantly generated an HDR, which is pretty neat. Yeah, I generated an HDRI from something that literally didn't exist before, which is honestly pretty remarkable. Let's see. It's not 360 though. You can tell because this end isn't lining up with this end, right? Let's see. It looks like the footage from Hardcore Henry. This is the closest. Though you're still gonna get a seam. Let's try seamless 360 camera. Seamless 360 camera. Under filter offset. Oh, so you're saying to actually go to... I was trying to see if the AI would just do it. I don't even know which one I like anymore. They're all so good. My mind is blown. I think this is probably the best one. So you're saying under filter and then offset. Filter. Wait, under filter offset. Then the horizontal filter. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. But yeah, I would have to merge this first, merge the layers, and then we would go to filter, others, offset. Then we would horizontally move it. Oh, dude, you're a genius. And then go grab this and then generate fill. And you would just generate it. Doesn't have to be like, you know, saying it's 360 or anything like that. It's just got to connect those two bits. Oh my God, that worked. That's good. Okay. And then we merge this. We just have to do the top now as well. So we merge the layers. And then, I don't know. Can you do that though? No, because this is all... Oh no, that's actually perfectly fine because it's all just going around in a circle at the top. Oh my God, it works. Okay, so then you take this and you export this as a PNG. Just save that. We'll overwrite the other one. It's totally fine. And yeah, you're right. Now it's seamless. Holy moly. Holy moly, guys. Let's load that in. And a single image it is. Now you've got yourself a seamless texture. Holy crap. Holy crap. Wow, dude. Oh my god. That's insane. That's insane, dude. I can't believe you can do that. That's crazy. Now, here's the limitations. It only works in 16-bit, so HDRI images don't really work. Also, consistency's sake, HDRIs wouldn't work because you would have to do stops. So if you were trying to do individual photos first that were brackets, you couldn't do brackets. You would have to convert it to a radiance file or some kind of like HDRI file, and that would be 32-bit, and you can't do 32-bit in AI yet. So 32-bit wouldn't work. But that's insane, dude. I can't believe you can do that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Matthias, you just missed out on the most mind-blowing thing of all time. Wow. Okay, for all of you guys that just joined, I took in a photo, just the simple, this background photo, actually, this frame here. I imported that into Photoshop, and I created a 360 HDRI from nothing. If you guys want to go watch that back, feel free. It's pretty crazy. And we used an offset to create it seamless. You scale it up by X4 to generate smaller tiles and downscale it to 25. It will be 32-bit. If you scale it up by X4, generate small tiles, and downscale it by 25, it will be 32-bit. Are you talking about scaling it up by like curve-wise? Because we can do an adjustment where we do add exposure. Like an exposure adjustment. No, because we can't do it that way. You scale it up, X4, generate small tiles, and then downscale it to 0.25. It will be 32-bit. I'm so confused by what you're suggesting to do right now. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. Send me a message on Discord. Let's chat about that. I think that'll be interesting. For this particular shot, I'm not as concerned about it because it is a it's a, what's it called? It's just an overcast day, so I don't really have to worry too much about it being, you know, super visual or not. How old am I? Well, now, isn't that rude? I'm 27. Okay, so lighting is done, and the tracking is finished as well. Let's take our world setting here. Where's our world? Just grab world. I kind of want to take all of that and just join it. Except for... just join all of that together. And... oh, wait, no, I don't want to join that together. So now if I grab my world option, I just need this to be parented to the world. So let's just do that real quick. Sounds rude? No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm just joking with you. I don't care. And then we'll parent that with the world as well. And then... yeah, now everything's moving around. It's all floating around, guys. Okay, now let's reevaluate our life here. Just trying to create somewhat of a straight edge on this thing. And that's a little bit better than it was. So now this will play back. Let's see. Just put the cube there for reference. And voila, that's good. We'll go ahead and save that. And then now we don't have our object created, our robot created. We will be making a robot next week, as I was saying. This is going to be that robot. Let's see. Let's go look at that real quick. Concept art. Yeah, I look like I'm 50. Oh, dang. Wow. Do I look that old? Come on, guys. Tell me I don't look that old. I do think I look like I'm like 37, you know. But I don't think I look like I'm... Oh, so this is that. Gotcha. I'm probably going to... Let's see. Project the actual environment on it. And then if we project the actual environment on it, then I think we should be good. What frame are we using? Which is kind of a bummer. I did all that work and then I didn't save the actual clean plate of it. Should have saved the clean plate of it. Why did I not save the clean plate, guys? Let's see. Let's go over here to our plate. Let's find the last frame of the whole sequence. Create a whole new image for it. Your face isn't wrinkly enough for 40. I also don't have gray hair. Let's not save that. Let's just close that as well. Gonna load in a new image. So this is the last frame of this sequence. This is the widest the camera angle gets. I was gonna use this to project the texture onto the back walls. So let's create another clean plate of this specific frame, which I did this frame before. I just didn't save it before we went the whole 360 route. I should have done that, but I didn't, so that's my bad. Oh wow, I am doing a terrible job of selecting her this time. Nah, dude, I did some live de-aging work on my face for this live stream. You didn't know that? That's all good. I think we're good. And then all I have to do is go to image and then mode and then change that to 16-bit. Merge. Cool. And then generate fill. Generate. Again, we're losing most of the exposure for the 32-bit in the sky, not necessarily the walls on the background. Yeah, it's fine. And then do this guy as well. You kind of want to cut it as close as possible to him to not lose any of that extra detail that could inform what's supposed to be under. Damn it, I did the same thing I did last time. I did the exact same thing. I accidentally right-clicked while I was in the middle of it. There we go. Then we just generate fill. But since we're mostly just projecting textures on the back, I'm not as concerned. Wow, that is so good, guys. You know, why did I click the wrong button? File export PNG. And then we'll save this under our material folder, and then we'll call this clean. 1 or 2, 20 or 30. Do I know Ian Hubert? Yes, I know Ian Hubert. I don't know him. I've actually never met him. Don't say I don't know why I'm saying like actually as if it's like, oh guys, actually just never met him. Like No, I've never met him. I haven't seen him at any of the convention stuff that I've been to. I'm going to create a new material here that will be clean plate. And let's add an image texture. And let's see, let's find that clean plate that we just created under materials and then clean. Select the image and probably just feed that directly into the surface here. And all I need to do is from our camera perspective, say project from view. So that way it's getting the actual viewport projection. And we can see that if we go to material view here real quick. Should be able to see that. Do I need to go to render view? I guess I can go to render view. Oh, right, because I'm setting viewport display to none. Or not there, it's all the way up here. Need to make sure that I'm on the last frame though. I say you project from view. So that way it's the exact view of that projected onto it. You learned Blender from him? Well, he's a pretty cool guy. He has a very interesting way of tackling Blender stuff. So I love how he does everything basically inside of 3D viewport. Okay, so we'll do another clean plate there. And then we'll just say you project from view. And again, it's just from our current camera projection. And since we're inside of that camera, it's using that as our means of creating that clean plate. So great. Save that. Get out into solid view or something like that here. And you'll notice that as the camera moves, we've got our projected viewport kind of like on the back there. Fantastic. The only issue we're going to run into is that we see a bit of the ground here. And we can always fix that by creating a separate clean plate earlier on and just kind of worrying about that. I'm not as worried about it because for the most part, we're using this as a means of creating a... I think he can beat me in Blender, definitely. But I'm mostly using this as a means of creating reflections, basically. Because we don't ever see the ground or anything like that. We're trying to use as much from the original visual effects shot to create reflections onto our CG material to make it feel like it's more ingrained with our environment. And right now, we're just creating a bit of a clipping issue down there. And honestly, if we go to our render view real quick, you'll notice that that white area down there might actually throw off our overall reflections as well as our lighting and so on and so forth. So I think what I'm going to want to do is let's duplicate this and just move it slightly forward. And let's just grab this on the Z-axis and just move it down. Honestly, we're just using this for lighting, so, you know, I don't care as much that there's a hard line as long as we're not getting that the white area of the sky. We could also do this by grabbing the UVs of those specific areas and then moving those to a different part of the image. That totally works as well. This is just an easy, fast method of doing the exact same thing. So I'm just going to do that, move that down. And then voila, that should be good. I might actually grab this though and then delete the upper vertices since we're not using those. Just trying to get it so that bottom part is not reflecting sky, which was what we were getting before. So now we're just getting building on the side. Can you make a live stream of making a horror character or using a horror character using only Blender? I probably could. Might do that closer to October time frame since that's probably more appropriate for that time. Okay, great. So now we've got that environment all doing that correctly. Let's do this reference lighting. We'll just make sure that that is invisible inside of the actual render, and we're only seeing the actual render, but we're still seeing the reflections here from the environment that we're creating. So that's why we did that, was to be able to get proper reflections on our CG objects that we're adding in later. Okay, fantastic. That's pretty close already. Let's grab this pole here. We're just going to say new material, and then we'll just call this reference. What did you call that, Ben? Support beam? Something like that? I don't even know. That's not how you spell beam. B-E-E-M? I don't know, guys. I don't know how to spell beam. I believe I made a Norman Bates render last Halloween. It was really neat. Yeah, I did a couple horror-related stuff. I can't speak that language. Sorry, can't. Because there's... Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Ben. On top of it. I'm going to now just select the color for the RGB of what this pole is. If you just grab that there and then just select it. Again, we're not making sure that this looks real. We're not seeing this beam. So it's, for the most part, just going to be used for reflection purposes. So I need it to match whatever our visual effects plate is. And so having that color just plugged directly into the surface will allow us to be able to do that. If I go to render view, actually I can't even see it here. But I might be able to see it on the reflection of this ball that we do. Awesome. Okay, fantastic. So that, I think, covers the lighting aspect of this. And now we can do some probably basic layout animation of what we're going to want. So let's turn off our reference here. Just make sure that this plane here is under reference lighting. I don't know why it was under reference. So now, with this being said, we can make our animation. I would probably just, let's for today, since we don't have our model yet, and I don't want to get started on it, because I only have about an hour left of our stream today. Let's go ahead and just create a basic layout animation of what we're doing, and go from there. You're making a horror game, so I need a horror character for it. Well, that's cool. What's your horror game about? So roughly, this is going to be our drone character that we're doing, and let's just animate a cube. Basically, that's all we're going to start with here. Probably could do this on like a path curve. That might be an easy way to animate this, honestly. So if we just add that in there. Line this up a little bit more as if it's going around the people, and just have this fly from over here as if it's coming up from this angle. So the path flight will be like a woo, like that, all the way back. Let's go to top view here and just line this up a little bit more. Okay, and then now if we grab a cube, I'm just going to scale that cube down, and let's line this cube up with the front of this this path here. And then we'll go ahead and add a modifier in, and then do path or follow path, I think. Oh no, that's under constraints. Yeah, follow path. It should be about a horror Indian railway station. Because in Indian railway stations there is a lot of objects and also looks real. Oh, that's cool. Let's see, follow track. What am I doing here? I need follow path is what I need. Voila. And the offset is what we could animate. What? See, the target is the Nurbos path. And then the path, do I control the... I feel like I have to choose the animation or something like that. You know, they got the follow path, which honestly is probably the answer. Let's do follow path. And then we'll select the Nurbos path. And then the offset is just going to be the starting position is all the way up there. And then we'll set that to frame 1000. Let's just say insert keyframe. Then all the way near the end here, this goes all the way down to 0. We'll set that as a keyframe. Oh, interesting. So that's just coming down. You like my room? Thank you. Try. It's a little messy right now, actually. Okay, so there's the keyframes there. And I'm going to take this and let's just set this to be interpolation mode as linear. And let's go to the last keyframe. And we'll set that to... Need to zoom in on this. There we go. Let's set this to 0. We'll do insert keyframe right there. And then let's scale that down and then place that a little bit closer to the actual path that it's going on. So there's the animation movement. So now they're running away from a cube, guys. Flying a little Borg from Star Trek. Okay, so that's one way we could animate that to go in. Probably want... I feel like the Fallout that you made in Blender, it's insane. Oh, you like the Fallout shot. Thank you. I try to do those every now and then, do something that's a little more based on, you know, like something that's coming out. A show or something like that. I was going to maybe do a... Oh, I mean, like I did House of the Dragon, so I did like a Game of Thronesy type thing last week. All right, I'm gonna hand animate this. Just roughly get that animation in there. kind of want it to like stop, see them first, so it comes down and then like. Make a little bit of a boop, boop. To reset. Like a wah. Hey guys, the cube looks in the front. I'm actually being started on 2D animation myself, but having a hard time. Awesome. You're just starting out with some 2D animation. That's pretty cool, dude. I say just some 2D animation. I've always wanted to get into 2D animation. It's like one of those things that it's definitely its own skill. And I just never got into it. But I would recommend joining our Discord. We have a link in the description to our Discord and a lot of other talented artists. So if you're just getting started and you want some help on stuff or have any questions, I would definitely recommend it. Sorry, I'm a little distracted right now because I'm like trying to animate myself, but this is not something that I am very good at. Just roughing out the animation of this, and I'm using just like a object so that we can see what everything looks like. I think that should work. I know them is a very important thing in the world, but some people don't use it. The cube looks in the front. Are you talking about cubes? Hey, nobody likes cubes around here. We're not cube lovers. You don't know how to use Discord? I don't know. None of us know how to use Discord. They've changed it too much. Discord used to be so nice, and then they broke it. Back in my day, no, I'm just kidding. I like to say that though. We didn't have Discord. We used Skype. So when I was gaming with friends in high school, it was using Skype, and that was not preferable. I hate that so much. It's ridiculous. Just make that a little bit higher, and then let's just delete these keyframes here. And then make that rotate. And then scale that out. And then continue moving that slightly. Nice. Yeah, back in my day. That's not bad, guys. So then that like pops down, hovers for a second, and then they start to run, and then it like starts to fly from overhead a little bit more. I don't know, let's watch it with rendered playback here. So where am I from? I live in LA. Los Angeles. The home of the nuts. Born and raised though. So there you go. So that's just a really rough down animation of the kind of like the movement of the character. Obviously, once we actually model it next week, we can add in little gizmos that are going to spin and stuff like that. But now that actually works pretty nicely. So it just lanes. Finally, you understand what I'm making. But yeah, no, I work in the film industry here, so I work on movies as a visual effects compositor, and then yeah, I do this for fun on the weekends. So this is my hobby. Let's see, that little dip here. What do you guys think for the animation? Sitting's my hobby. I'm a professional sitter. So it's like Blender, the animation software. Yes, this is Blender, the animation software. Which, by the way, they do have 2D animation in Blender, with grease pencil and stuff. I hear pretty good. Haven't used it all that much myself. Mostly work in 3D and animation. So is like Blender the best animation software? That's pretty argumentative topic right there. Some people will tell you that Maya is the best animation software. I've just always used Blender, so it's not worth my time to probably go and learn everything I already know how to do in Blender. I think Blender might be the quickest software because it can kind of do everything. Whereas in Blender, you will want to... What is your favorite focal length? That is a good question. For different things, though. I'll get to that 1 second, Hasselhoff. But anyways, sorry, I got distracted here. But anyways, the Blender software I think does a lot of things pretty well. It doesn't do any one thing super great, but it does a lot of different things pretty well. Maya is probably the best animation software. And then you've got different look dev softwares, like there's Gaffer, there's Katana, which I just recently started using, and there's like Renderman, so on and so forth. That's where like look dev stuff can happen. Whereas Blender does look dev as well. Maya does not do look dev. Houdini is a great simulation software. Blender has simulations in it, but it's not like Houdini. Blender has geometry nodes, but it's not like Blender. It's not like Houdini. Houdini is pretty much like the premiere of simulation. So while you can do like pretty much everything inside of Blender, you can't really do anything like super great. And I think that's the bit of the limitation with it. As the software gets better and better, its real-time rendering is better than Unreal Engine. And as its geometry nodes get better, who knows? Maybe one day they will be better than Houdini. Doubtful, but it's possible. I feel like in the landscape of software, everything changes so fast that it's not like there's any one best software. If you're only interested in 3D animation, then what? Maya is honestly better, and I am a Blender user. And that's true. And because Maya was built around the concept of just being an animation software, and so that does certain things better than Blender does. I will say there are things that I don't like about other 3D softwares, and it's like mostly how like movement of gizmos work. I really don't like that stuff. Cinema 4D is a good Cinema 4D is really good for motion graphics. That's primarily what Cinema 4D uses. You're not going to use it as much in like the visual effects industry. Okay, back to what Hasselhoff was asking. Favorite focal length. So this kind of depends. So I'm not sure that I have one specific favorite. There are ones that I jump to, obviously. So I like a 24 mil when you're trying to feel close to the subject, and that could feel for different reasons. If you're trying to do horror and you want to make the audience feel like they're within the horror element as well, so you want to scare them more, then I would use shorter focal distances, such as like 20 millimeters, 24 millimeters. I think at that range, it's really nice because it'll allow the audience to feel like they're part of the world that they're in. Whereas movies that are more action heavy, like sci-fi films, you want to feel like you're viewing a cinematic masterpiece of like, hey, this is a cinematic epic film. Probably longer focal distances will be primarily used in those instances. But again, there's a lot of creativity within that. And that's when you want to shoot on like maybe a 70 or 100 and you're shooting at like a longer distance. That's going to make everything feel a lot flatter, and make it feel a lot, for lack of a better word, it's just going to add more depth of field to them, which is going to make it feel more cinematic. And that's what a lot of people would say, is the word cinematic. Although it's not necessarily cinematic, but it is what a lot of people would interpret as what cinematic is. And I think that's the thing about like focal distances, is you have to understand like what you're trying to have the audience's kind of like mindset be. Do you want them to feel like they're inside of the environment? Then you're in a shorter distance and make it feel like, hey, you know, now you're one of the characters in the film, not necessarily watching from a distance. Because I feel like longer distances give that safety of feeling like, oh, I'm behind this like protective glass. Breathe in, dude. I am breathing in. This is all breathing in here. But yeah, that's the. I feel like that is how focal lengths, I feel like, could help interpret what you want your audience to feel. Guys, I'm breathing. I don't know. I am breathing while I'm talking. I can talk and breathe at the same time. But yeah, that's my my rant about focal lengths. Hey, you can blame it on Hasselhoff, not me. He's the one that asked the question, okay? Oh, and then Ben, you said you like the stutter before it goes. Yeah, I like that. I think it just like, it almost like thinks, it views it, and then it goes for it. Yeah, I'm currently looking for a nice camera and a couple of primes. There are so many good lenses, and it's hard to choose. So I have this camera here. This is, I've had this since I was in high school. It's first, like, more legit camera that I ever bought. I filmed a lot of stuff on, do I have it here? I do. First ever camera I ever bought was this Panasonic camera. It's a Panasonic camcorder right here. This was the first camera I ever bought. It has a cracked screen on it because I got the screen cracked accidentally. But this was the first ever. It's 720. It was like full HD. It was 720p, guys. So this is the wonderful camera, and you can tell because it's like so light. Like every handshake that you ever do with this camera, you could feel it and see it in all of the films that I did growing up. And then this was the camera I bought in high school right before I went to college. It's the Canon T3i, and it's got a 50mm prime lens on it. So I bought two lenses. I had the 18-55, and then I got this 50mm prime lens here, which, again, you can see all the shakes because there's no internal stabilization on the lens. But this is a really good prime lens that I kind of like recommend everybody to get, is this 50mm. Depending on your crop sensor is how tight that 50mm is going to feel. For me, that 50mm wasn't terribly too tight. It feels more like it's like 60 or 70 maybe, because of the 3/4 sensor crop on this specific camera. But yeah, so then I shot a lot of stuff on this, and then yeah, I actually don't have the first ever camera that I shot something on, because I shot on tape back when I was like a kid, and then I used the family camcorder, and then I went to this Panasonic camera here. So pretty cool stuff. Wait, people actually know this information off their head? I do. I think it's helpful to know this information if you are... I think it's helpful to know this information if you want to be a VFX artist and if you want to be a filmmaker. Because this types of information helps inform you for everything that you are making with all your decisions for VFX, for CG, for whatever you're trying to do. when you're trying to interpret CG stuff inside of Nuke and make it look realistic, you need to know how and why lenses act a specific way. With ASPC, it should be 75 millimeters. Yeah, probably pretty close. I think the crop, unfortunately, adds quite a bit to it. That's why I found, like, I bought this lens. I had the 18 to 55 for a very long time. And I always thought, oh, well, this is a cheap lens. And so then I bought the 50 millimeter. And then I started using the 50 millimeter. And it was kind of funny because I started using that all the time. And then I realized that I wanted to go into more 18 to 55 millimeter range. It was like once I got a gimbal, I started using that all the time. But then I realized I loved handheld shots more. So, you know, that's just how it is. Time is the most important thing in the world. Well, Animo, I actually don't have much more to do today. So, like, after I'm done ranting about cameras, I'm probably going to end the stream. So, this is the chill time with Connor moment. Okay, I'm thinking I like that. Let's just do another quick pass at this. Camera knowledge is most important, especially if you're a CG artist who often loses touch with that. It isn't possible. True. I feel like if you don't know how cameras move or how they act or why they act a specific way, you get bad looking CG, which is why you find actually most of the time in even like Pixar films or, you know, whatever type of animated film it is, they have actually two different DPs that work on like Pixar films. They have one director photographer who whole job is just for lighting. They have another director photographer for how like camera movement is supposed to go. And to understand like the basics of like, hey, we want our cameras to feel real. We want our lighting to feel real. And they spend quite a bit of money just to get that to happen. Okay, I think that's going to do it for that. I'm pretty happy with this animation, guys. This is the... Oh, well, that's me. Hey, how's it going? I forget what the buttons are, so it's like sometimes I just press the wrong buttons. So this is the basic camera animation that we did here. We did the tracking. So real quick, for anybody that's new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, okay? We do these live streams once a week. This is part one, where we are creating a CG visual effects shot from scratch. And inside of this shot, we took an actual visual effects plate, which I could show you over here, is these people running away from something. We don't know what, because it's just a visual effects plate. It's the actors running away from basically a blank wall. We camera tracked this inside of Nuke here, and then we exported that track using this right geo node, which created all of these kind of point cloud materials that we can import. And then we can take that into Blender and we can recreate that environment in 3D. As you can see, like I created the walls, a chimney, and this lovely support beam that we have up here. And then I'm animating this this drone to fly in here. Now, does he fly in front of it? He does fly in front of it. So we are actually having him fly in front of that pole. That's funny. He doesn't fly from behind it, though. Not that we can see. So he pops down, like looks at them. They start to run. We're going to have some like bullets fly in here. And then some different movement like that. I might actually want to... You forgot you put the object behind the characters. What object? Like the wall? But then there's the, so this is our lighting reference here of the 360 stuff. Now, this is something that was really cool that we figured out today as well, is that you can create 360 HDRIs. I might make a very specific video on how to do it that's just streamlined. You guys can watch the live stream if you guys want, but I'm probably going to make a very specific live stream, or not stream, video that I'll just upload to the Patreon or whatever. That's going to be step-by-step process on how to do it. And next week, we're going to be making the drone. This is what the drone looks like. I created this in Midjourney. AI created this in Midjourney. We will be recreating this inside of 3D from scratch just by, you know, hard surface modeling. So we'll start off next week by doing this. lighting's already kind of done, so all we have to do is do this, do the finalization on the animation, and then take that back into Nuke and composite that into our visual effects footage. But without a further ado, that is it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button below. Leave a comment of your favorite video game that you've played this last week. And who knows, maybe we'll play online someday. So how many movies have I made? Well, I've quite a bit, actually. Go check out my IMDb. It's like, am I up to 40 or... I don't know. I made a lot of movies. As like a visual effects artist, but like as far as like short films and such, oh dude, probably over 100. I mean, but those don't count. They're like just short films with friends. They're not like, you know, a whole thing. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys. But wait, it's done. Yeah, no, this is a short stream today. So I'm segmenting the parts, but we started at 11 o'clock, so I've been streaming for 2.5 hours now, and the next thing to do is starting 3D modeling, so I don't want to get started on that because I have to be done by 2 o'clock today, so it is what it is. But hey, join the Discord. You guys will know when we're going live next, and I will see you guys next week. Also join our Patreon. You guys get all these project files. I'm going to upload all these project files as is right now in the next few minutes. You guys can go grab those, download them, play with them, finish the shot before I finish it. No, I don't know. You guys do your own thing. You're crying. I don't like when you end the stream. Neither do I. But that's why sometimes we just have to do it. But I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. And I'll see you guys next week.